Hello and welcome to the Energy Connect studio at India Energy Week 2025. I have joining me in the studio today Richard Baker, Head of China and Asia Pacific Lead for Energy Transition, and Ketan Pednekar, Senior Trade Specialist for Energy Transition, both at the Scottish Development International. Richard and Ketan, thank you very much for being in the Energy Connect studio today.
Thank you.
For having us. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. To start off with you, Richard, could you tell us more about Scottish Development International?
Sure. So we are Scottish Development International. So we are Scotland's national economic development agency. So we're a part of the Scottish Government, and we are here to help grow the Scottish economy through trade and investment into Scotland. And that also helps create jobs and growth for Scotland. So we're here in particular to help Scottish companies that have experience in the energy transition to find partners overseas so they can do business and work in partnership with companies here in India. That's why we're here today.
And leading on from there to you, Ketan, so what are SDI's activities in India?
So SDI is very active in India, especially in the energy transition sector. So we have been participating in various events like Windergy, Hydrogen Association of India annual events, and now India Energy Week, which is the biggest event. So we had, so this events, what we do is we give a platform to our companies to showcase their capabilities, to meet with the buyers and meet with the prospective partners. And through this we try to promote the Scottish exports from Scotland to India. So and more collaboration between India and Scotland, especially in the energy transition sector, to move towards a net zero economy. Yeah.
Absolutely, and we'll come to the companies in a bit. But before that, Richard, going back to you about the energy transition, where obviously Scotland plays a big role. But what do you think are the challenges that the global sort of energy community faces when dealing with the transition? And how does the expertise of Scotland help?
Yeah, sure. So my job isn't just about India, it's about the whole of Asia Pacific. So I see a lot of different strategies and problems popping up. And you're right, there's a lot of challenge. But I think it comes down to two things, so cost and experience. And when I say cost, I don't just mean getting the lowest cost possible for offshore energy. So it's offshore energy that we're particularly interested in here. Not just about the lowest cost, it's about kind of smart ways of dealing with cost. So that, I think, is where Scotland excels, is that we've got a lot of solutions that can have time savings to save money on vessel hire, for example, or kind of high quality imaging and sensing to reduce the need for redoing, resurveying certain areas of seabed, for example. So that kind of that approach of using high innovation and kind of niche products, which can appear quite expensive, can actually save costs in other parts of the energy transition, for example, on vessel hire, which is a big problem across the world. And I think the other thing is experience. So Scotland has many decades of experience of offshore engineering in the North Sea, oil and gas exploration, which is continuing, but we're finding that a lot of that experience can be shifted across to offshore wind, for example, or in the carbon capture hydrogen supply chain. So in Scotland, we want to bring that whole industry with us as that changes. And we're finding that experience is really valuable in Scotland's transition to net zero by 2045. And we're hoping that we can share that experience overseas, where there may be gaps in the market, that we can kind of work together to make the net zero future happen faster.
So Ketan, continuing on that same note, India has achieved 100 gigawatts of solar installed capacity and is taking a lot of measures to achieve net zero. So how do you think India and Scotland can work together in that journey?
There are immense opportunities, for India and Scotland to work together. Basically, because both of us are strongly believe that economic growth must be sustainable as well as inclusive. So there's a common kind of element that binds us together, and of course, India's net zero journey. I mean, India is ramping up very fast the renewable energy sector, but it's led by solar. But I mean, if India has to achieve its targets, I mean, it has to go for other forms of energy and like offshore wind, hydrogen related stuff. So to achieve the net zero targets. So, and India is doing something about it. So, they have come up with offshore wind tenders. They have announced the green hydrogen policies. There are lots of hydrogen projects which are coming up in India, and this is where Scotland is also very strong. So you can see that Scotland has one of the largest offshore wind capacities in the world, and I mean excluding China. China has the bigger one, but so we have more renewable energy than we can create. So that renewable energy will be used to generate green hydrogen, which we have an ambition to export to the world. So we will be the leading exporters of green hydrogen to the world. So similarly, India also has similar ambitions. We have started a bit early, so we have got a lot of experience, and this experience can be shared. We can work together. So we are focusing more on offshore wind, hydrogen, CCS, and oil and gas decommissioning. These are the sectors where we feel that Scotland has a lot to offer to India, and we are working together to bring the partners together to make it happen in India.
And I think just to reinforce that point, Richard, SDI is working very actively to foster closer cooperation and collaboration between Scotland and India. And I believe you are leading a big delegation to India Energy Week. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, so we have 6 leading energy companies with us this week. So we've got ABL Group, which is a maritime energy consultancy group, active in over 40 countries around the world. We've got Agreco, who are leaders in temporary power and cooling solutions. So they rent cooling and power solutions. We've got GQS, Global Quality Systems, who do second and third party inspection, certification of assets and products that a company may want to procure. We've got Opito, which is a skills and training body based within the UK, and they're very famous for their oil and gas safety certifications. So if you're familiar with the helicopter rescue training, that's one of the things they specialize in. And also looking at the energy transition to make sure we've got the right skills, the right people in place to make that happen. We've got Rice Energy, who specialize in small wind turbines, but they also integrate solar, battery, wind into energy solution that can also work off-grid in remote situations. And finally, we've got Ventera Group with their partnership with Aban Offshore, and they do kind of turnkey solutions to offshore wind in particular, right away from kind of early project consultancy all the way through to install, operations and maintenance. So there's a lot of experience there. None of those companies are young. They're all very experienced, often in the oil and gas industry, and they're here to bring that experience and knowledge to find partners here.
Yeah, so I think you have brought almost the full value chain here. And then,
as much as we could.
Yeah. And then leading on to that, Ketan, what are your expectations from India Energy Week and what are your thoughts?
This is our first time we participate, and we are very pleased, just to see the scale and the amount of interest it generates, within the community, in the energy community. We are very pleased. So yesterday was a very good experience for us. A lot of visitors coming, a lot of companies are getting inquiries, and there are lots of partnership opportunities, and we are very hopeful, and we look forward to participating in the next kind of Goa event as well next year.
That's great to hear. And what would be your final sort of takeaway message to our global energy audience?
Well, I think maybe there's a conversation about, do we need to do the energy transition? How do we do it? And I think we have to. There's a climate crisis on, and you could view it as an obligation, but I think we can view it as an opportunity to do things differently, to create inclusive jobs and growth for both our countries. We can do it together. We don't have to do it alone. There'll be things that we specialize in, Indian companies, Scottish companies, but we find where there's overlap and opportunity to work together. And when we go together, we can go further, I think.
Yeah, I think Richard has summed it very well. So my what you say, I urge the audience or the people, please do visit our stand. We are in hall number 2F82, and engage with our companies to understand what they can offer. And yeah, that's what, let's work together towards a greener future, and let's do net zero.
Absolutely. And I think the Scottish Pavilion is where people can come and see collaboration in action. Yeah. Thank you, Richard and Ketan, for your time and for valuable insights. Thank you. Thanks for watching, and you can get more studio interviews like this and comprehensive coverage of the energy industry at energyconnects.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media, and I'll see you with another studio interview from India Energy Week. Until then, goodbye.